All right, so on this episode, we're going to talk about why my shop is such a freaking mess and what got done and what didn't get done. Boy, I'm telling you, we're going to touch on some freaking gross stuff, right? Uh, we talked before about having the working interview. Now, when we had a working interview, the purpose of that is to identify like culture fit, capabilities for sure, and those kind of things. It's not to put them in the bays and produce. And this working interview that I had with this technician, he was a wrench turner, but never really had a lot of professional experience. So we worked on some cars together. I QC'd, double checked, certain things to make sure that we were putting out the right stuff. I wasn't over his shoulder the whole time. By like the third day, right? The first day we worked like I was working and he was with me, and then second day we were working together. Third day he's working on his own, and then I QC his stuff. Well, apparently I didn't do a good enough QC. This car came back today with a failed wheel bearing and a damaged brake rotor because my candidate, I asked him if he torqued the axle. Yes. Well, he didn't torque it properly. It was tight, okay, so he didn't leave it loose. He had service information open. I watched that, so it's like, unless I'm actually watching the clicking of the torque wrench, which is, my fault, I guess, right? It's extreme ownership. When we checked the torque on it, it was torqued to approximately 115 foot-pounds. Torque spec on this Ford Fusion is 59 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. So we checked the torque of where it started clicking and backed it off, torqued it properly just to see what happened. It comes out to about 175 foot-pounds, give or take. It's not a one-time use nut, apparently, at least from what I saw. So what it came in for was an alignment that Discount Tire did and said they couldn't do it. And we did it and got it all in green, and he was happy. For some odd reason, they totally missed the fact that the left ball joint was completely blown out, like unsafe, and the right one just barely started having play. So we had to put control arms in it in order to do the alignment. Why this technician decided to take the axle out to do ball joints and control arms, I have no idea, but I'm not going to fault him for having his own process until he screws something up. And that right there cost me approximately $750 in customer pay opportunity cost, okay? Meaning if the car came in with one failed rotor and one bad wheel bearing, the wheel bearing job comes out to $650. Now the brakes were just put on it a few hundred miles ago, so I'm okay with doing one rotor. And honestly, the rotor is not that bad, but it's got a scratch in it. And it didn't have a scratch before the wheel bearing let go. So it's just like, dude, we already talked about the other two cars that he messed with, which was the Honda Accord, with the bolt that was stripped and the other one that was broken, the shield that was left loose. Like, I found those things because I quality controlled it and finished the work, right? But, bruh, enough. So you know what loaner cars are good for? Freaking comebacks. Holy cow, man. Oh yeah. The other comeback, the other car that he did, that he took apart to just do an eval on for a belt squeal, this is the one that had the bad harmonic balancer. That car came back before he even got home. He come back and he said, hey, the air stopped working, the battery light's on. I said, hey, bring it back immediately. Keep an eye on the coolant level or the coolant temperature, because I don't know if it was a belt-driven water pump or not. And it was fine. Put him right back in the loaner car that he had. And turns out the alternator had 1 out of 3 bolts in it. Now, in this candidate's defense, I don't think these bolts were in it from the get-go. This car came in and we found on the DVI that the one engine mount was loose, like bolts were out. So I tightened up what I could see as part of, like, for free. Just when I did the DVI, I just tightened up 2 bolts. But I remember when we were looking at this belt problem, the way this alternator is mounted on the cylinder head, you're not staring directly at the bolts, right? But I remember seeing like the alternators there, but I don't remember seeing heads on the bolts. I mean, I'm not looking for a loose 1 out of 3 bolts holding an alternator on for a belt squeal when you have a harmonic balancer jiggling back and forth, right? So I could easily have been missed, even by like the best techs ever, you know what I mean? Like that's not really the issue. The issue is the car came back and now I'm putting a shredded belt on the car, dig out the other belt stuff. The bolts that are missing, that were probably missing before, I'm now eating, which isn't that big a deal because I found some bolts from Chrysler for a couple bucks, but they didn't show up, but they were supposed to be here today. So, dude, loaner cars are supposed to be for making money and providing a better service. Yeah, a better service for cars that come back, but I'm like, dude, come on, man. So, I guess I got to redo my process of how we're doing these, working interviews. Like, I guess I do need to be completely over the shoulder the entire time and doing, quality control, checking that they're torquing things and that kind of stuff. That's my fault, right? So luckily no one got hurt. Wheels didn't fall off and that kind of stuff, but still, man, like the actual cost to do that repair was a Ford Motorcraft wheel bearing was $84. My cost on the same rotor that's on his car is $56, I think, for one rotor. So $130, $140 in cost. Plus, it's a press and wheel bearing. The job is like 2.5 hours or something. It's like, that's great. It's just, come on, dude. And then he was like, I said, he told me, he's like, you gained a customer because you're honest. And he's like, you got a customer for life. I have 4 vehicles. Right? He's like, I appreciate the honesty. I kept him updated. Like he was waiting while I checked it out. And, and then he's like, hey, I'm going to buy a brake fluid service while it's here because that's one of the things we suggested. So I'm like, don't feel obligated to buy anything. He said, dude, I don't feel obligated. So, that's kind of nice. I was thinking about maybe comping him the brake thing. Maybe just to kind of like maybe make amends a little bit. It doesn't take that long to do. It's a .4 service on that one. It's $164 for that service. So I might eat that just to make him happy. Okay. So Volvo still here. Now it is complete. Just about. We have some shields to put on the bottom. We have the coolant to fill back up again. We did 100% verify that the evaporator had a leak in it. It was scary because there was not a ton of dye down there, man. And the Robin Air light that comes with the tracer fluid, it did not pick it up. And I was kind of freaking out a little bit. And I ended up getting a different one that works absolutely amazing. And I suggest you buy one of these things. These are like $80 on Amazon. It's a V3 Beast is what it's called. All right. This thing is amazing. I don't know what bandwidth they use for the... but it works great on any dye that I've used on it. It shines great. So it's definitely worth the $80 for that. With that one on there, we were able to find that leak. So I'm like, all right, good. The indicator, the sniffer picked it up anyway, but I still want to verify. So this guy, bad tools, all right? Bad tools caused, I'm pretty sure, caused this misdiag. So this is what we got with this Jeep. I put the fuel pump in it today, and I left the fuel pressure gauge on it because I wanted to verify what the fuel pressure was afterwards when I was done from the initial diag. And I started it and had 32 PSI. I said, dude, come on, man. 2 separate gauges on this car read 32 PSI. And the difference was I changed the gauges, but I didn't change the hardware how I had it attached to the fuel system. There's probably about an 8-inch nylon line in there, and it's really hard to get that out without kinking it. And I really didn't want to keep on messing with it because I do not want to puncture that line. And so I left my adapters on there to check it with the other gauge. and the adapter's bad. So we ended up having to take that off. We used my technician's full kit with his things, and we had 65 psi, I believe, while it's running. So I already called the customer and gave him an update. The customer is mechanically inclined. He trusts us because, again, we're being transparent throughout this whole process. And I told him, I said, I got some good news. You have a fuel pump in your Jeep now that you are most likely not going to be paying for. Until this job's completely done and I can see exactly what the problem is, it's just like, I just want to let them know that, hey, it still has an issue. While I was on the phone with the customer's technician comes in, he said, bruh, there's something majorly wrong with this Jeep. I took the fuel line off and it just shot a ton of air out, and it was crazy. It was like a geyser. I said, I know, that's what the problem is. It's vapor lock, dude. Like, that's what we're trying to fix. And he's never seen it. I mean, this is the first time I ever dealt with vapor lock. Like, that's a thing of the past, like carbureted cars and fuel lines running up against the engine block and all this other stuff. Like, that just stuff, it doesn't really happen anymore, but it happens now, let me tell you. So I can't figure it out. Now, his gauge, it has something that, it has a ball valve in it, so you can kind of isolate before and after pump to see where the bleed down is. My gut feeling is that it's bleeding down pressure, and when it bleeds down pressure, it allows the fuel to boil, just like physics and pressure and vacuum with boiling temperatures. So, but I can't verify that. Fuel pressure is not dropping. We dropped down to about 50 psi from the pump, but this is what it is reading right now after it's been sitting for probably half an hour, 45 minutes now, running off. So, as my buddy Brian Pollock would say, just fix the effing car and move on. I'm trying, all right? I'm trying. I really want this stuff fixed. I don't really want to sit here and complain about it. So it's cooled down enough to where it started. So you only have probably about a 15, 20 minute window after like a full heat soak. So yeah, so here's what we got tomorrow, and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, right? Obviously the Jeep, the customer's daughter is the one that owns this car. She's in college on campus, so she doesn't really need it, which is great. I don't have to put her in a loaner car this whole time while it's here. Obviously I got this thing to finish. I would like to get that done and get my loaner car back. The parts are sitting here. The Volvo has about an hour. My tech said an hour, which means it'll probably be 3 because it's all the time underestimating the time it takes to actually button everything up, right? So I wouldn't count on that being done until 11 o'clock. I have a maintenance coming in tomorrow that was sold before. We haven't seen the vehicle in a little bit, so we may have to do another DVI before we get it done. That's an 11-hour ticket. And I have an axle and a wheel bearing to do that I have not verified yet. This is just customers' guess at what this is, but I wanted the parts here, so I ordered the parts in preparation. We're still going to do the evaluation prior, and he paid for an evaluation. Sold him on the process, and he's down for it. So hopefully I can get that one knocked out. And I don't know about this Jeep. I don't know what I can do to figure this thing out, how to fix a fuel vapor problem, a vapor lock problem. It's going to be a nightmare. And then I have one other vehicle coming in tomorrow. I don't even know what the heck it is. I better check. Oh, it looks like they, no, it's Silverado. Transmission eval on a Silverado. Yuck. I don't want to mess with that one. So definitely some more evals that have to be finished. So I wore my comfortable shoes today. I'm going to have to try to knock out some of this work. Quantity over sort of quantity, meaning the free work that I'm not getting paid for. I need to get that car done and get it out of here and get less cars in here. I cannot stand a shop that's this messy. It drives me absolutely crazy. We had a crazy storm come through here and blew leaves all over the place. I had to close the doors and stuff. And, it's kind of a mess. So I need to clean that stuff up. And, dude, it's been rough. You know, I need to get these cars finished. And man, that really bummed me out when that 3 cars that he worked on, there was problems with every single one of them. Luckily, I caught 2 of them, but I didn't catch that one, and that one's expensive. And it was a boomerang. It wasn't fix it before it leaves. So, then yeah. I mean, anyway. All right. So, what can we talk about that might help some others? Don't do this, right? Don't have project cars sitting in your freaking shop. I mean, at the time, I was kind of in a bad spot where losing the passion to have a shop or turn wrenches. And I was trying to find an outlet to try to get myself at least get some happiness. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pull this car in and start working on it. And work on it after hours. And it was a little slower at that point. Like we had a little bit of a car count issue. And I'm like, we'll just do that. Well, guess what? It's been in the bay now for almost a month, maybe. And it's just clogging up a lift for no reason. So it's not professional. I'm over here trying to do interviews and stuff, and I got a car in the bay that belongs to me. That doesn't scream professionalism at all, and it's not, right? But it's my shop and it's my rules, but that still isn't, I don't really like it. And look what happens, because the car's up in the air, I'm able to store stuff in here without putting it away in the Connex outside. And that's probably a good thing to do. Try to keep your shop professional, so anybody that looks at it is going to know that you're a professional. Keeping it clean, all these leaves and dirt and boxes everywhere. No, bro. I'd be upset if I came in and saw all that stuff. Like I guess some people like to say, oh, a busy shop never stays clean. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. You can be busy as can be and still have a clean shop. Depends what your standards are. And if you allow that kind of stuff, like, I'm sorry, man. You can still have good quality of work, but it's not professional. Okay? I'm not saying you can't do good quality work in a pigsty, but it's not good. I take pride in being able to lay down on my floor and get up and then get into a customer's car without getting it dirty. And not that I would want to do that, but it's really nice. And having project cars on a lift like that one over there, that's just another tick in the box of unprofessional shop. So there's your little nugget. Don't do what I do. All right. All right, guys. Short video. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and we'll sit down and see what we actually accomplished numbers wise and car count, and maybe we'll try to dive into some of that stuff. Yeah, sounds good. All right, later.